Hello and welcome back to my video. My name is SnagDog, and in this video we'll be covering some features that Forza Horizon 6 will need to get right if it wants to keep its player base. I've made a full list of stuff we need, some of which are obvious and have been discussed by others, but some I'm sure you also haven't heard anyone talk about yet. Please sit back and enjoy, and let me know in the comments what you think Forza Horizon needs to get right to be considered a monumental game. Also, please subscribe. I am aiming for 1,000 subscribers before Forza Horizon 6 launches, and you can unsubscribe if you want. Firstly, let's talk about the story Horizon brings. Forza Horizon 1 and Forza Horizon 2 saw you as a rookie who had to make a name for himself and become the champion, whereas Horizon 3 saw you become the boss and lead the direction in where the Horizon goes. You get to choose where the festival is built next, and you get to choose the car class and the car type for each race, and 4 and 5 just kind of copy that system and scaled it to the max. This is boring. We don't want to see this again. I have high hopes that the Legend trailer that they've already released means that you go back as a rookie driver, just how like the previous games did, and you start in the shitty D class and C class cars, and they force you to drive them, and then you work your way up to becoming the faster cars, and eventually maybe even the champion, quote, Legend. You know, started from like the bottom, and then we hear Drizzy. Doing this will create a real sense of like achievement that you get to like accomplish just grinding for that title of being the legend or the champion, and it shows how far you've come along. I really hope that Horizon 6 follows a similar experience to this. Probably not to a T, but hopefully I can implement things to help boost that sort of accomplishment feeling. The main thing I just don't want them to do is make sure that you're the superstar and being overwhelmed within the first 10 minutes of the game. This also links to my second point, which I don't really see anyone talking about, and that's character development. A big feature only Horizon 1 actually had were individual characters and personalities that stand out in contrast from each other, and also even had proper cutscenes that showed them. We had a rich range of characters, from an egotistical and arrogant rich guy to a confident, charismatic crowd pleaser. This just gave us a reason to actually want to beat those characters. We actually wanted to beat them because we were immersed in the game of becoming the champion. And don't get me started on Darius Flint. The previous Horizon champion before you in Horizon 1. He's like some celebrity driver that had control over the festival and actually felt like a true main antagonist. I truly don't expect Horizon 6 to top this or even incorporate any sort of character development, as we haven't seen it for the past 4 games, which is unfortunate because we don't need a deep story, we just need a reason to care who we're racing. Let's not focus too much on what the previous games did right, and look what the new games can do to add more immersion. This may be a more controversial topic, but I actually really like DLC in games. When done right, it adds new features, game modes, and a reason to come back to the games that we love. And if it's priced reasonably, I think that's actually completely fair. What I'd really like to see though is like a DLC that's more suited towards the environment and actually adds to the experience of the game rather than creating its own separate theme park like we did see in Horizon 5. What I'm hinting at is DLC that actually builds onto the map itself, whether that's unlocking new regions or incorporating expansions directly into the existing world. Another YouTuber actually, Hoki Hoshi, has gone way more in depth on this idea on how keeping DLC connected to the main map will help the content not die out in a month. Which, definitely check out his channel, he has a really grounded take on the Horizon series. That also ties into the brands Forza chooses to partner with. Horizon is by far one of Xbox's biggest franchises, and a huge innovator in the racing genre, which naturally attracts major brands. However, I never actually really felt connected to Horizon 5's DLC choices, like Hot Wheels expansion or the Fast and Furious and Universal packs. They had cool cars and cool maps, but they didn't feel like they belonged in the world. For a game that's set in Japan, there is so much opportunity to lean into real Japanese car culture. A greater example off the top of my head would be like a Liberty Walk DLC. Liberty Walk is a real and iconic part of Japanese automotive culture, and while I believe that body kits are already in the game, a body kit alone just doesn't carry the same emotion as a fully released, officially built and customized Liberty Walk car. For example, it would be a big difference between adding a Liberty Walk kit to a base RX-7 and including one of their iconic real builds that you can see on the streets of Japan. For example, they could add in their RX-7 that's inspired by the 787B, or their R35, F40, their Sylvia. Like there's thousands of builds they've done. That level of authenticity would push customization and uniqueness further and help them make the world feel way more alive. Another example would be an Initial D DLC. Most of the cars are already in the game, but tying them to Initial D versions or spin-offs alongside maybe a 1v1 mountain pass race mode that they could incorporate in the game, inspired by the anime, would instantly create a meaningful connection for fans and fit perfectly within the setting. Rather than simple movie tie-ins that we've seen every other Horizon, using culturally significant Japanese brands and media would add to immersion, long-term engagement as well, and also authenticity. It reinforces the setting, making the world feel connected, and kind of turns DLCs into something that expands the Horizon experience, not fragments it. That to me is what Horizon DLC should be aiming for. But that's enough talking about the content that I think would help Horizon 6's immersion. One of the major features I would like to see reworked in the next game would be the whole economy and finance side of the game. I understand that's probably asking for quite a lot, but the main source of income from this racing series is not race payouts. In fact, it actually doesn't even come with driving, it's the wheel spins. They have been overpowering as a main source of income, which totally almost defeats the idea of racing for cash or utilising the difficulty credits multiplier. This isn't a casino and shouldn't be focused on handing out prizes left, right and centre. They should be able to help accompany big achievements such as maybe beating an expedition or beating a showcase, and you are rewarded with a good amount of money as well as a chance to win a rare car in a wheel spin. But adding them into the accolades, festival playlists, car mastery, leveling up has really taken away the excitement of wheel spins. I'm not going to go too much in depth on the auction house and the restrictions that they hold on regular players because that probably isn't really a main factor of the economy and doesn't really affect the main plot of this video. However, for the record, I think that also should be reworked and less restricted too. I think the main takeaway is that the economy is quite fractured and not really sustainable, and has seemed to have gotten worse every iteration of the game. For example, completing about 10 laps of the Goliath in Horizon 5 gives you about 750,000, probably more with difficulty and specific car bonuses and mastery. But back in Horizon 3, you were getting 2 million, 3 million for roughly the same amount of time put in, which really enhanced the sense of achievement and wanting to do the 10 laps. If Horizon wants players to stay engaged long term, the economy needs to favour skill rather than giving out prizes. Again, another controversial topic, but I actually think the addition of fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a useful tool to bring players back into the game. However, Horizon 5 was a clear vision of FOMO being abused, to the point where it came back to being a chore to come back for cars that you wanted and to complete the same structure every week. I think the addition of the Backstage Pass is a huge step in the right direction by making a few different models available instead of having to pay $20 million in the auction house like every other car. But I think they shouldn't restrict it to just 2 cars per week that get added like they do in Horizon 5. If it were up to me, as soon as a new car is put in the game, it should be available to everyone at all times. Whether they have to work for extra if they didn't get it in the first week, who knows. This is all kind of regarding if they keep the same festival playlist structure, which in the end I think I'd actually rather see completely changed. Again, it felt like too much of doing chores coming back each week and complete the same list of tasks to the point where I just burnt myself out, and I know multiple other users also felt the same. Instead of making such a monotonous structure, Horizon 6 festival playlist needs to incorporate more variety or just rework in order to keep people playing and wanting the need to collect new or rare cars. I couldn't think of like a perfect solution for this, so it's more something they could probably test and probably come up with different sort of features. However, it could be a talking point to maybe even just say goodbye to festival playlists in Horizon 5 and have a new creative way of bringing players back and collecting in Horizon 6. I feel like I should also talk about some honorable mentions that would really boost the Horizon 6 game that's, I think, Horizon 5 really got wrong or really could be changed. The map is a big talking point as one of the factors Horizon 6 needs to get right, and I won't harp on too much as I don't really have much more to add like other YouTubers, but it is clear from what developers have said that it's a major focus on the next game, which I think is very exciting to hear actually. From the first interview, they have mentioned how that the next map will be bigger than Horizon 5, but it will also be way more dense and there's going to be something around every corner, which I think is an interesting detail and I'm curious to see how that's going to be portrayed. Another topic a lot of YouTubers post about is the continuation of the same iconic Forza aero options. We all know that one spoiler that hasn't changed since 2011, and I'm sure most of us can agree it all looks ugly and outdated, but for some reason my hopes actually aren't that high up that they will actually change it. If they were to, do you reckon they would create a new spoiler and have that as an option for every car also, that just also becomes tiring as well to look at? Unfortunately, I think Playground games see this as a not broke, don't fix it sort of situation, but I also think it will spark quite a bit of outrage if they see it return in the next game. I'm not too opinionated on this decision, so I won't add too much on it, but I wonder if we'll see from the direct any new changes of aero or anything. Finally, the last honorable mention I'd like to add for Horizon 6, well, that I think it just needs to have a lot more variety. I think it'd be quite unrealistic to see just one main mountain used in all of Horizon 6, like we did for Horizon 5. Being in Japan, I can see them utilising multiple local mountains from Japan and Tokyo area, and having multiple roads go up and down, multiple villages and towns. We already know that Tokyo is confirmed, so I think the sheer size of it would probably mean that it stays as the main one big city. But I think adding other districts and prefectures would really emphasise the culture and could be a way that they could incorporate that DLC that I was mentioning earlier. I'd like to see multiple racetracks in the game, with the addition of real life racetracks or even fictional would be pretty cool. However, I understand license agreements can be quite difficult to come by, so that's sort of just a hopeful prayer. But I am quite excited to see how much they can add to one map. If they make it as dense too, I think they're going to have a lot of room to add some really great and unique features. Please let me know what your takes on these features are that I think Horizon 6 need to get right in the comments, and if you have any more features that you would like to see in Horizon 6, just let me know as well. Remember to please subscribe and also follow me on Twitch as I'm going to start streaming. Like I said, my goal is 1,000 subscribers before Horizon 6 releases. I'm already working on my next video, which is going to be some predictions that we'll see in the Developer Direct and also Horizon 6 gameplay. So if you'd like to see that, please subscribe and have a good day. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. See ya. Bye-bye.